Thank you so much for joining us here today. I hope the afternoon has been going well for everyone. I'm Si Ci, an AI engineer at TechX Sensemaking and Surveillance Center of Expertise, and I'm really happy to be here today to share with you some of the work that we have done in the area of deepfake detection. These are the topics that I'll be covering today. Firstly, I'll talk about some of the problems that deepfakes are creating. Then, I'll be moving on to talk about some of the techniques that you can use to detect AI-generated images. And finally, I'll be sharing about Alchemix, which is our in-house developed deepfake detection tool. But first, let us start with a Kahoot game. So can I get everyone to take out your phones and then scan the QR code on the screen? Alternatively, you can type in kahoot.it and key in the code that you see on the screen as well. I'll give everyone about 30 seconds to get onto the game before we start. All right, maybe about 10 more seconds before we start the game. Okay, let us start with the first question. So this question, you can select multiple options, up to 4. So the question is, select the images over here that are fake. You have about 20 seconds. The timer is counting down on the left-hand side. Okay, looks like everyone is doing pretty decently. So actually the answer here is that all 4 images on the screen here are fake. And it's actually obtained from thispersondoesnotexist.com, generated by StyleGAN2. So this goes to show how realistic generative AI can be nowadays. Now let's take a look at the leaderboard. All right, congrats to M, who is topping the leaderboard. Now let's move on to the second question. So over here, you will listen to an audio clip, and then later on, you'll be asked a question on Kahoot as well.
And I said, Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting. All there's nothing to do is fun. You'll be the prince, and I'll be the princess. It's a love story, baby, just say yes.
Okay, let's head back to Kahoot, where we'll see the question. So, is this really Bruno Mars singing Taylor Swift's love story? All right, looks like majority of you actually got the correct answer, which is false. That was not actually Bruno Mars singing Taylor Swift's love story. It was generated by AI over a period of about approximately 3 days. So let's again take a look at the leaderboard. Ooh, someone else has overtaken on leaderboard. And now let's proceed to our last question, question 3. So over here, you will see a video clip, and then same thing, you'll be asked a question on Kahoot.
Could AI one day replace humans? And if so, how might that happen? We've already seen some service-based and manufacturing jobs turn to AI in a big way. But what about other industries? Can AI replace journalists or news anchors?
All right, so let's head back to Kahoot to see our question that will be asked. Which part of the media is real? That's right. Most of you again got the correct answer that neither the audio nor the video was real. And this video was created by a student from University of California, Berkeley under Prof. Henny Farid's lab using lip sync deepfake. Disclaimer, the content generated for this game is purely for the purpose of today. All right, so let's head back to our slides again. So as you can see from this Kahoot game, generators nowadays are capable of generating very realistic fake, and there's a whole range of them: image, text, audio, and video. I'm sure many of you are familiar with some of them, such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, as well as 11 Labs. These products democratize generative AI, allowing almost everyone to be able to generate them almost at a very low cost or even for free. Now, one of the areas of generative AI that I want to talk about today are deepfakes. And advancements in Gen AI has made it very easy for people to generate deepfakes. This might be a good thing in certain industries, for example, in entertainment industry where deepfakes are being used for content creation. We've also seen in the healthcare industry where audio deepfake is being used to generate voices of people who have lost their voice due to illnesses. And also very commonly nowadays you see in the business industry, deepfakes are being used for 24/7 product live streaming marketing that can be done at a very low cost and much cheaper than traditional manpower. But at the same time, we also know that deepfakes are creating a wholesale of problems today. For example, recently we saw disinformation campaign attempts at the US presidential elections where audio deepfakes are being used to generate robocalls. We have also seen deepfake explicit images of Taylor Swift being reported earlier this year as well. And also most commonly and concerningly, deepfakes are being used for scams, costing people up to hundreds of millions of dollars. What makes it worse is that this generative AI is also becoming increasingly accessible, and therefore people can generate very high fidelity fakes very easily. Also, deepfake detection is really a cat and mouse game between the detection and generation technology. Where the new detection approaches have been developed, the generative AI also continue to evolve to evade such detection. So now you might ask, how are some ways that you can guard yourself against such synthetically generated media? I'll be sharing on 3 techniques that you can use to detect AI-generated images. These techniques are not based on AI tools, they're based on physics and therefore can be easily explained. So let's go to the first one, vanishing points and lines. So the first thing you need to note here is that parallel lines on parallel planes in a 3D space actually converge on a single point on a 2D image. Don't worry, I'm not about to delve into the physics behind this, but allow me to explain this using 2 examples. So over here, you see an image that I took a few years back of Bukit Timah Trust Bridge. And I'm sure you agree with me that railroad tracks are parallel to one another, and so they are also parallel with the ground. And so are the top of the bridge as well as the railings that you see at the side of the bridge. So if I were to draw a straight line through these elements that are parallel to one another, you realize that they actually converge at a single point annotated in red, which is also known as the vanishing point. So in this second image is a picture taken from the National Gallery Singapore website. So I'm sure you agree with me that the ceiling as well as the floor in this image are parallel to one another. So if I apply the same concept and to draw straight lines through them, you also see that they converge at the green dot, which is also the vanishing point. Now these are real photographic images. What happens when we look at AI-generated images? So this is an image generated by Midjourney 6. It looks pretty realistic, right? Now, if we were to apply the same concept and draw the straight lines through the images on the elements that are supposed to be parallel to one another, notice how the lines now no longer converge at a single vanishing point. And this is because while generators nowadays are very capable of generating visually realistic-looking images, they don't understand the laws of physics. Now, moving on to the second example, let's look at shadows. So over here, one of the things that they teach in physics lessons back in the days is that if you draw a straight line between the shadow, the corresponding point on the object, it should point you to the source of light. But in this case, over here, as you can see, it doesn't point you to the single source of light, which should have been the case given that this is an image taken from an outdoor setting. And again, this is also because the generators don't understand the laws of physics. Last example, let's take a look at lighting. This technique was developed by Prof. Henny Farid at UC Berkeley, where he first takes a model to estimate the 3D model of the person's face from a 2D image. He then calculates the 9 coefficients of spherical harmonics. It allows us to understand which direction the light is coming from on his face. So over there, you can see on the top right-hand corner from the sphere, the light is coming from the bottom right-hand corner. Now, if you take a look at the image itself, the shadow of the man is actually casted in front of him, which suggests that the light is actually coming from behind and above him. Now, this is a bit inconsistent with what we saw from the spherical harmonics. And again, this is also because generative AI today does not understand laws of physics, which for us is a good thing now. So next, allow me to share a bit about Alchemix, which is our in-house developed tool for deepfake detection. We have 2 types of features available. Firstly, video deepfake detection, and secondly, audio deepfake detection. For video deepfake detection, we first perform face detection and tracking, and use an AI model to get the classification on whether or not the video content contains any signs of deepfake. For audio deepfake detection, we do the similar things. We use a deep neural network to predict whether or not the audio file contains any signs of deepfake. We have also written an in-depth Medium article on how we do audio deepfake detection at HTX SNS COE, so if you're interested, you can also scan the QR code to find out more. An optional feature that we have in our audio deepfake detection is also to allow the users to upload a ground truth file to perform speaker verification with the media file in question. This will give you a similarity score on how similar the ground truth file is with the media file in question, so that you can understand how likely or not is a deepfake. So our development approach consists of 2 prongs. Firstly, on in-house development. We use an iterative process that first starts with collection of data sets, followed by research and benchmarking of open source models. This will then allow us to understand which of the models have better performance, so that we can further fine-tune them and incorporate them into our product. We also use an agile development approach that allows us to constantly iterate product features with our users as well. So this iterative process is important because we understand the importance of constantly updating our deepfake models to be able to keep up with generatives nowadays. Next, we also work very closely with partners to tap on their deepfake expertise, to exchange ideas, as well as co-develop capabilities. We also leverage on experts in this field, such as Prof. Henny's, whose techniques I've shared earlier, to keep ourselves updated on the latest detection as well as generation technologies. So it is important for us to work together in an ecosystem of partners, as the earlier panel speakers have shared. For example, in the open source community, we evaluate state-of-the-art detection techniques that allow us to obtain the best performing ones. We also work together with institutes of higher learning and research institutes to co-develop detection techniques and incorporate the promising developments into our product. We also look to incorporate commercially available detectors through licensing agreements via back-end API integration. And finally, we work closely with our home team users to constantly iterate our product releases based on their feature requirements and workflow as well. If you're keen to find out a bit more about Alchemix, which is our deepfake detection product, we also have a booth downstairs at level 1 that you can check out. Yep, that brings me to the end of my presentation today. Thank you.